Hello everyone, welcome back to another video. I am coming to you from Germany today. Not Darmstadt, sadly. The apartment that I've managed to find short term is in Corriedale. But there's a tram and it's like 15-20 minutes and I can be in the centre of Darmstadt, so not too bad. But I am feeling cozy and sleepy, so I'm not wearing anything hand knit. This is a store-bought cardigan that my mum bought and was all like, you should take it to Germany with you. So I've done it. Not how I think she intended me to wear it. I think she wanted it more of as like a professional thing, but I woke up this morning and when I wanted to film, I was wearing a cozy black jumper. I think I've worn in videos before, but with the black sofa, it just disappeared. All you saw was my head floating in space, so I was like, we'll get changed, and this was the only other like cozy like thing I had. I just made this cup of tea. I don't know why I decided to take a sip. Ow. It's like a fruit spice tea, and I've also actually, it's not like super early in the morning anymore. I've recorded my German video already. So when I made that cup of tea, I've also treated myself to some spiced biscuits, Spekulatius in German. So I'm gonna just nibble on that right now. But yeah, so I'm a bit more awake now, but still just wanting the cozy vibes, and you know, just being relaxed and just no stress, please. Too much stress has been happening, but. Like I said, I am in Germany, so it's a different location once again, but I will leave all the life update stuff to the end. Let's talk knitting. I have quite a few finished objects, but they're all the same thing, so maybe you can guess. I have finished the 5 pairs of Sunday socks. The final pair is still blocking because I did block all of them. So I've got one to show here, which is still a bit damp, but I will go through them in order. So the first ones I finished with these ones here. They're a European size 40, but I screwed up a bit. I had too many stitches on the bottom of the foot, so I made them a bit shorter and then just blocked them out a bit to try and compensate for that. So that's pair 1. Pair 2 is also a size 40 with the correct stitch count, and because of that I only needed a 50-gram ball for each sock, so I used the Susanne's Garn Perfect, which I shared in my last video, and 100 meters per 50 grams, and it's just nice. Like, it literally worked out by like a meter or two, and so that pair is done. And then the last one for the kids is this blue pair, which I'd started last time, where it's a size 36 European, but I decided to make the cuff a little bit shorter because I was like, he's still quite young, and I was like, I didn't want them to go as high. So they're not actually that much shorter if you look. I think it's 5 or 10 centimeters, probably more like 5, but I thought that was just a bit more fitting with the shorter foot. Then for the dad, we have European size 43. These took much longer. And obviously I needed to use the 3rd skein. So I did order 3 skeins of each colour just in case, because I hadn't really decided who was getting what. And for the blue pair, I obviously needed less than 1 skein per sock. So I already left the 3rd one back in Austria. These ones I finished before I left Austria, so I just didn't bring the rest. I think I had like 3/4, half of a ball of yarn left. For these ones I still have the entire 3rd skein left. And for this blue one I have about half of one left, I think. So I'm so all over the place now. So this is the pair for my cousin. So the rest are her husband and her 3 kids. And of course, you know, the socks for the mum get made last, and other ones that are last to be blocked and are still slightly damp and I need to send them off. Oh, they'll be dry by tomorrow. It's okay. These are European size 42. And I also had to open up the third and start using the third skein. And what was I trying to say though? So I still have about 3/4 of a skein left of this from this color. So altogether, I think I have just over 100 grams. So I could make another size 40 European, exactly the same as this, and have enough yarn. But I'm a 41. My mum's a 42. So I could just make the cuff a little bit shorter and get out a pair for one of us. It will just be kind of stripy and scrappy, but I want to use up all the yarn. But then it's also like, I know I have more sitting in Austria. Like a decent amount of this one, a whole one of this one, and I've got some scraps of this one too. The other scraps for the first sock, which I finished in Austria, are in Austria. Should have brought those. But yeah, so I might make a scrappy pair of socks, but to be honest, I also just want to break from the Sunday socks. I do like how it all looks. I obviously can't put the red ones in here because they're still blocking, but like, I think it just looks epic, all the socks. So they'll be getting sent off. I don't know if they'll arrive before Christmas. I hope they will, but we shall see. But even if they don't, they're still good for, you know, after Christmas, winter time. So that was a lot of effort, and most of the way I got through most of the knitting for this was especially the cuff, because it's so long. This is obviously one of the shorter ones. I'll show you this one. Because the cuff is quite long, this was probably the hardest thing to knit, because after that, the heel flap, quick. Once you do the gusset decreases, that's quick. And then depending on the size, the foot doesn't need that much more before you start the toe decreases. So once you get past the cuff, it goes quite quickly, especially for the smaller sizes. But it's the cuff that's the killer. But because I have a half an hour commute to work, I always just made sure that I was at the point where I needed to be working on the cuff for a sock. And so it then meant within the like half an hour there, half an hour back at the end of the day, I was able to get through most of a cuff in about an hour, depending on how much knitting I got done, because sometimes when I don't get a seat and I have to stand, I'm a bit slower with the knitting, because especially I also have a bus to catch, not just a tram, and on the bus it's a bit, I get knocked around everywhere. But I think I did these 5 pairs of socks in about slightly less than 3 weeks. I think it was like 18 days I figured out. Ow. And I think that I'm pretty happy with that. They are DK weight socks. You're meant to use 4mm needles. I used 3.75. And I used my Chiagu Shorty interchangeable set, the bigger one, the blue one, hence the blue cable. And I think that just made them go much quicker. And it was also quite nice because quite a few people on like the tram and the bus would talk to me, because they were like, what are you making? That's so interesting. And especially some women who talked to me who didn't really know about those short circulars. They were like, what? How is that possible? So that was really nice, especially with having just moved here and not knowing anyone. And I've got obviously people to talk to at work, but that's also an interesting dynamic because they're students and I'm not a student anymore, and I'm an employee, sort of. It's confusing. But it's then just interesting with the like potential power dynamic and things like that. But so it's then just nice, especially over the weekend, to then just have some random strangers talk to you and just have a nice chat about some knitting. I'm like, I've enjoyed it. And you tell I just really want to drink my cup of tea, but it's just so hot. But yeah, 5 pairs of these socks. Weirdly enough, I still do want to make more in the future, just need a bit of a break from them right now. They're a really nice pair of socks to own. They're really cozy and nice. The only thing, which I think I said in my last video, is as much as, you know, I do like supporting designers and things like that, I think this pattern you could so easily just do yourself. It's a 2x2 ribbed sock. You can see that from the pictures that... Did I mention they're by Petite Knit? Sunday socks by Petite Knit? Anyway. So it's a 2x2 ribbed sock. So if you don't want the work of calculating how many stitches you need and figuring out how long everything should be, obviously paying for a pattern is really good. That's what they're there for. But for these kind of more basic socks, if you know how to knit socks, you can just figure it out. So yeah, depending on your skill level, I might suggest, you know, it's a sock pattern you can skip, but at the same time, I don't think it was that expensive, and it's a good classic to have, and I've knitted a lot of pairs, so I've got my money's worth. So then the only other finished object I have, because obviously, like, they took quite a while all up, though 5 pairs of socks in less than 3 weeks isn't bad, but it's kind of the only thing I've been knitting on, and with the move and everything. The next project I have that's already finished, I haven't even shared before. These are the School Run Mitts by PENROSE Knits, whose name is Laura, and she's got a podcast on YouTube as well, and she's also been doing Vlogmas. I've been enjoying watching her videos. And these are just a really cute pair of mittens with a picot edge. So you hold the yarn single, fold it over, and then the rest of the mitten is knitted holding fingering weight yarn double. And the yarn that I've used is Fairy Godmothers by Georgie from the Fibre Fox, which I shared in a previous video, I'm pretty sure, saying that this is what I want to use it for. And now I've actually done it because I panicked. I think it was last weekend or something. I was like, well, Christmas is coming up. I have to send these to my friend in the UK. I need to get started on these soon, even though I knew they wouldn't take long. And I think I did one in an evening. I still was like, well, even if they don't take long, you still have to make them. You still have to make that time to make them and then also send them off. So when I go send off the socks, I'll also send off these. And I have about 65 grams of yarn left, which should be enough to make some for myself. This is the smallest adult size. I will probably need a medium size because my hand's just a little bit wider than this. And I definitely need to make them longer. For me, the way with my big hands, this picot edge literally just like goes to here. It is meant to go to like here or something. And it also, I need it longer in the wrist area. But yeah, so we'll see. Otherwise, I could always use this for something else, but I think that'd be quite nice because I think the yarn's really beautiful, even held double. It just, all the speckles and beautifulness. So really nice pattern, definitely be making more of these, and perfect for a gift. I did decide to do the picot edge on the thumb. It says not to, but I was like, well, if I'm already having to like fold it over, I want to do a picot edge. My second one went a bit wrong. I think I did too many rows. So then it ended up like folding over in a way where it doesn't look as nice, but once you're wearing them, it's fine. So those are my only finished objects. I have a lot of whips because I always do. Let's talk about one I've mentioned before where I have a bit of an update. Oh, the other thing I was going to say, which you're going to probably tell, I had to hand wind these. I don't have my wool winder and Swift with me. It was just too much to pack, and it was also kind of like I could bring them or I could bring more yarn. So I was like, I'm going to go for more yarn. So hand winding them is fine. It's not a huge deal. And you'll see that with a couple of them, like this one, which I also had to hand wind. And this is the yarn for my Fru Alstad. I'm in the middle of a row, which is just stupid. I don't know why I did that. I normally always finish my rows. But I finished the double moss stitch section. And you can maybe see this like purl row here because I've started section 2 now, which is a knit and purl pattern, which, you know, fits in with the rest of this. And it's just going to be some like triangles. And you can see all the stitch markers I've got in, because when I get home from work, I'm so tired and just that I then don't want to have to think or concentrate too much. So I've put in all the markers to indicate all the repeats, because there's quite a few. And yeah, so I've made a start on that. I think I'm only like 3 out of 8 rows in. And I think there's 1, maybe 2 more sections after this. The only problem is, this is my second skein of yarn. I think the pattern says you need 3. I have got 3, but my third one is in Austria. So it might be that I won't get this done anytime soon. Obviously, I have plenty of yarn still to be working on. So it's not like I can't work on this over the next like few weeks and stuff, but at some point I'm gonna have to pick up that other skein of yarn from Austria. But yes, so I just wanted to show that progress is being made, and I really just wanted to reach this point because it's been on my needles for so long. I say that, but I've got other projects that have been on my needle for longer and I haven't been working on them. But anyway, I just feel compelled to work on this. But the colour, which is quite hard to see, is Frosted Seaglass by the Fibre Fox. I think this one was actually dyed by Ben, it's so beautiful. And the pattern is from 52 Weeks of Shawls. Not much to say, it's not that hard. It's really kind of, especially the moss stitch was so easy to do without a pattern. And the only reason I need the stitch markers and need to focus on this is because I'm just so tired after work and exhausted. So that's the first one. Then I've got something I've shown off last time where I've been making decent progress. So you will notice a theme, like I pretty much have in all my videos, of I haven't had time to work on this as much as I wanted because I've been doing X. And the X being I was working on the Sunday socks. So when I wasn't working on the Sunday socks, in the evenings when I had and sometimes on the weekend when I was like, I want something different and just want to, experience different wool, a different pattern, I was working on the test knit I'm doing, which is the Crescendo Blouse by Sophie of the Knit Pearl Girl on Instagram. So you can see it has this beautiful like diamond lace pattern, which I think, especially in this colour, it almost starts to look a bit like trees now that I'm looking at it, or like, leaves and things. Anyway, I've almost finished the yoke. I'm on the last round of the lace pattern for the yoke. And then after that, I need to try on the yoke, see how the length, the depth of it is, and whether I need to add more length to it before I separate the body and the sleeves. I have been loving this. I always forget how much I love knitting lace. I don't know what it is. It's just something that really clicks with my brain. And lace is something where you can see, once again, I've got all my stitch markers in to indicate the repeats. That's once again just to make sure I don't make any mistakes. So I don't have to go back. Because it is a test knit. I think it's needs to be done by like mid-January or something. But I'm hoping that now that my Christmas present knitting is done, I can mainly focus on this one, because I'm not doing it with long sleeves. I'm going to kind of go for 3/4, maybe a half sleeve. We'll see. Once I get knitting, I'll just try it on and see how I like it. But it's been so much fun to knit, and it's the only thing I've really wanted to work on. And yeah, I just love lace. I love lace. I hate cables. I can't do cables. My brain just gets annoyed at me. But lace, I find I don't slow down that much when I'm knitting it. So I've really been enjoying that. And the yarn that I'm using they're both by Sundance Garn. This is Sunday, which is a fingering weight yarn, though I think it's a bit thinner than fingering. It's like a light fingering. And this is Tin Silk Mohair. And I think you can kind of see how the strand in the middle, which I think is the silk like core, has this almost silvery kind of colour, which you also see in the knitted fabric. I think you can pick that up. And normally I don't really like that, but with this I do, because it almost gives it a bit of a sparkle. So it makes it feel even more like a Christmas jumper, and I love it. I love it. It wasn't intended to be a Christmas jumper, but I think with the colours I've chosen, it's becoming one, and I'm in love with it. So this is something that, have I mentioned I'm going to Dubai for Christmas? I don't think I have. But so I need to make a decision about what projects will come to Dubai with me and which ones I kind of just have to leave behind for now. So that's been really enjoyable, really good. Sophie's really good at writing her patterns. I've tested it for her. Pardon me, I've got a cold. I've tested it for her a few times, and her style of writing patterns just makes sense to me. She also knows me as a test knitter, so I think I talked last time about how I'm always really worried I'll come across rude because I'm just so direct and to the point. And she just gets me with that and just is grateful of the feedback I give. But yeah, I think other than one or two things at the beginning, everything else I was like, nope, perfect. I've got no problems. Phrasing is perfect. Love it. I know the sweater version has currently gone out to testers, I think, which I think is also beautiful, but I've got this one to do. Don't need any more. Then a project where I've barely, if at all, worked on it is something I'm making for my friend Len, who is Frog and Fish Yarns. I think that's correct. My brain just is not working today. And I'm knitting the September sweater by Petite Knits. More Petite Knits. So this is the back piece. It's brioche, as you can probably see. And it's knit out of a strand of DK, which is Len's own hand dyed, and a strand of mohair, which he bought from Georgie. So you've got the Fibre Fox, you've got Len's own yarn. It's a beautiful combo, and I think the way it's knitting up as well is gorgeous. So I think I don't actually have anything extra to show from last time. Maybe a bit, because I've stopped doing increases now. So maybe I've done a bit extra, who knows. But I think it's just beautiful, and it's a project that I'm making for him as a wedding present because he got married in November. But I haven't been able to focus on it because of the Christmas presents, and a sweater obviously takes much longer, so I said to him, I was like, I'm happy to knit this for you, but are you going to be okay with the fact that it's not going to be done in time for your wedding or any time after? He's like, no stress at all. And I've been loving knitting on it when I've had time. I'd like to take it with me to Dubai, but I don't know if I'm going to have much time to work on it. It's once again one of the things I need to think about. But maybe I'll just take, like, because this isn't very big right now, and take these bits and just work on that if I get a chance, and then at least it won't be too heavy. But we'll see. So there's not much, sadly, to share with that. But hopefully more in the future. But it will mean if I don't bring it, it should hopefully mean that over the Christmas period when I'm in Dubai visiting my parents, I'll be able to finish the couple of projects I'm going to bring with me. And then when I come back in January, boom, focus on this one. Because my test knit has to be done by then. And the couple of other bits I want to knit on should also be done by then. So then it really, this is the only like one where I feel a bit of time pressure. Because one of the other ones that has to come with me to Dubai and that I have to finish while I'm there is the sample knit I'm doing for Jen from Casapinka Yarns. Because while I worked on it in Austria, I haven't worked on it since I've been in Germany because it's just been a bit too tricky. The pattern isn't exactly hard. It's just my brain is so picky about what it will kind of comprehend currently that this pattern, I look at it and my brain just goes, nope. And I'm like, okay, well, you're gonna have to get over that because I need this done. So Jen did say there's no real pressure. She just wants them for kind of the springtime for shows and things. So ideally, if I get it done over Christmas, get it sent off early to mid-January would be perfect. So I don't think I've worked on this at all since I last showed it. But the colours that I'm using are Agnes and Agatha. Where I was worried that the contrast wouldn't be good enough, but especially you can see it up here, it's actually really beautiful. It's a subtle contrast, but I think in a really beautiful way. So there's the Breathe and Hope shawl by Casapinka, which I'm sample knitting. So this yarn was sent to me for free, and then as payment, I will in the future, once this is done, receive 2 skeins of yarn. Yeah, so not much to say. The yarn is beautiful. I love Jen's yarn. I've knit with her yarn quite a few times already and have more of her yarn in my stash. So not much to say about that one, other than you will hopefully see it done in my next video, because I don't think I'm going to be filming until I'm back from Dubai, and then hopefully that one will be done. What else have I got? Then an old project I'm just quickly going to share, because I've actually worked on it and finished, not all of it, just finished a bit of it. Remember when I was working on the Sosu Knits Mystery Knit Along, the Brioche Mystery? Yeah, that was a while ago, and everyone else is finished and I'm still sitting here with nothing. But I finished part 1. Part 1. Yeah, I shouldn't have started it. I really wanted to. I liked the look of it, and Georgie was all like, I'm gonna do it, you should do it. And I was like, it does look cool, and you know, 2-color brioche is something I haven't done before. But I just didn't really have the time. So, but then, you know, whatever, it's fine. It's a project for me. It doesn't have to be done quickly. Who cares if I'm not keeping up with the clues? But I've enjoyed it. I really have enjoyed knitting on it. And I'm really starting to gain a lot more confidence with brioche and kind of, you know, having to pick up stitches, though I've had it a few times because this has been on the needles for so long. I've made a couple of mistakes in places that I've tried to fix. They haven't always been perfect. And so it just kind of makes it a bit gappy there. I've actually had it snag a bit already because it got caught on project bags and things, and it's just not great, but that is my own fault. But yeah, so I finished section 1, and the reason I worked on this, because I packed it, because I was like, I want this done. I want to work on it. I've loved it. I'm so excited for the next section. It's just making the time for it is hard when I've got so many other projects. I know there's a bit more of like a deadline or a, you know, a need to get them done. So this is kind of my indulgent project, if you will. And yeah, the reason I then pushed on and finished the first section is because I needed the stitch markers. So like I said, with my Fruit Alstead and my Crescendo Blouse, I put in all those stitch markers and then realized I don't have enough. So then I spent a couple of evenings finishing this up, and then took out all the stitch markers, because even though you're not meant to put in there's a mistake there, whatever. Even though you're not meant to put in stitch markers all the time, I liked it to keep the brioche and the garter ridge section separate, because sometimes it was just hard to tell, especially at the beginning, when you like start a new section. It was hard to tell when a stitch was part of the garter section, or is it just a stitch that I need to slip and do a yarn over. So I was like, I don't want to think about it. Put in stitch markers makes it easy. So then I finished up the section, and then on the last row just took out all the stitch markers, and this will be hibernating now until I finish some other things. But I have got the other 2 colors of yarn with me. I can't remember the names of those 2. I'm sorry. But here are the other 2 colors that I'm going to be using with it. I can't remember which one's going to be which. I have to look at the like pictures of the pattern and decide, because this one's going to blend in still quite nicely with the other 2, but this one's going to be the pop. So I need to figure out, where do I want that pop, so it actually is going to be something I want to wear. But yeah, so I've actually made some progress on that one, and hopefully that will get worked on again in 2022. Whoa, 2022. And be off my needles at some point. It's more of like an enjoyable knit than something I'm going to wear, but I might get wear out of it. You never know. The next one is a project where I shed the yarn last time. And so Eula from Woollentwine didn't do an advent calendar this year. She did 4 skeins where you open it every Sunday of Advent. So the first one, and I've shared it before, is Evergreen. The colour is really hard to actually get it to show up properly, but it's a beautiful skein of a Corriedale sock. And I said I was going to make the Grow socks by Fibre Tails, and I started, though I did film this. I think I had to do the ribbing 3 times. Once because wrong needle size. I need to go down to 2mm needles to get a decent gauge, because this is a nylon free sock yarn. So I needed to go down to 2mm needles, and then I had too many stitches because I wasn't too sure about which size I wanted to make. So then I had to do it again and go for less stitches. I think it was twice. But anyway, so I haven't done much. I've just started, I think I've done 1 repeat. Oh, I haven't even finished a repeat of the like leaf detail, which is it's cables. Why do you think I haven't done it? So like 1 round. I definitely haven't done a repeat, but I've been kind of doing like the first round of it. I just find cabling disrupts my like groove, if you will. You just threw off my groove.
No! You threw off my groove!
And so it's hard for me, because all of a sudden knitting, and then I have to slow down, and knitting, and then I have to slow down again. It's probably good practice for me, but I just struggle with it. That's okay. But so this is the project bag from Georgie's advent calendar this year. I love it. I love it so much. I already loved the one last year, but I think I love this one even more. Big as well. It's green and it's trees and it's beautiful. Love it. So the project that I'm making with our advent calendar this year, which is a fade just like last year, but this year it's pastel colours, where I knew I didn't want a jumper because I'm not a huge pastel wearer, and I was like, shawl will be good. And I settled on the Poet Shawl by SARI NORDLUND. I'm not going to show off all the different colours of Georgie's advent calendar because I've got quite a lot to show off. I'm just going to show off the project, and then you'll get to see the days in there. I'm still only on day 1. This is how much I have left of day 1, and I need to knit this until I have, what is it? I think I need to use up like 60% of it. So I need to go slightly beyond my brain. What is 60% of 20 grams? 12. I need to use this up until there's only about 8 grams left. And I don't think I'm there yet. So it's just kind of like the Fru Alstad. The Fru Alstad is double moss stitch. This is just moss stitch. I like moss stitch. I don't know why I enjoy knitting it so much. I find it really addictive, that motion. I think it's because I'm a continental knitter. So that motion of yarn forward, yarn back is really satisfying. And I don't know, for some reason I then knit it quicker. And this colour is gorgeous. I can't remember the name. I think it might be Pear Tree. Maybe next time I'll tell you the colour. But it's not too important, obviously. It's gorgeous. Absolutely gorgeous. So hopefully I can start on day 2, because my advent calendar from Georgie last year, I'm only on like day 5 or 6 of it. Now that's because I'm making the Telegram cardigan by Becky Sorensen. And sorry, every time I move on this sofa, it's very squeaky and noisy. And as you can see, I'm still wearing my pajama bottoms because I'm relaxed. And it was just so tricky to figure out, because it's worked flat, doing the fade and everything, because I didn't just want stripes. I haven't decided yet if I'm going to fade in the colours or kind of just do blocks of it, because with pastels, I think they kind of blend together much better. So we'll see when I get to the next colour. I'll have a think. I've got tea gurgles, pardon me. But yeah, so I just didn't want it this year that I don't work on this until, after Advent time and winter time. I was like, this is the time to be opening the advent focus on it. Now, like last year, I've got too many projects on the go that I have deadlines for and a bit of pressure on me. So I haven't been able to focus on it, but I am hoping to take this to Dubai and work on it a little bit and just kind of really make this my me project. And try and get it done much quicker because I'm really enjoying the pattern and I want to, you know, enjoy the advent calendar during the advent time. Now, I'm not going to get it done, you know, one colour every day. It's not going to happen because we're already on, what, December 12th and I haven't finished colour 1. But, you know, I want to get it done instead of, like, getting to the next year and still haven't finished it and having the next advent. You know, try and focus on getting it done as spring rolls around because I think it's appropriate for spring. If you don't know the Poet Shawl, it's huge. Uses a lot of yarn, which is why I kind of chose it. It's pretty much a blanket. But I think that's going to be nice. But speaking of blankets, since I just mentioned it, shared this last time. This is the blanket I'm making out of yarn that has been hand dyed by a couple of my friends that I have a knit night with. So I'm now on colour 2 of my blanket, and this is the yarn is by Skein and the Stitch, which is Jess, who's from the States but lives in the UK and dyes there. And so I'm up to the second colour. I've only just started and I'm using a ripple stitch for this blanket. No pattern. Like, I just looked up how do you do this kind of stitch and then just chained however many stitches I thought I'd need for the right width. And we'll work my way through the 5 skeins of this mini skein set. It's called Friendship that she did, which is a nice little fade. And then eventually, you know, move on to some of my other friends who are hand dyers and start working with their yarn. And this is a really nice project, which I'm thinking I might just take with me on the plane, because this is what I worked on when I flew from Austria to Germany, but that was a 1-hour flight. Like, I didn't get much done. I finished the green, started the blue. It wasn't a lot. But it's nice because I'm not too worried that I don't think a crochet hook would get taken off me at security. Knitting needles, I'm always a bit paranoid that I feel like the wooden ones should be okay. The metal ones might not be okay. And every airport is different, and some people are a bit pickier about things than others. And if I, for example, were to lose one of these Chiago interchangeables, the needles to replace them can be like 6, 7, sometimes more pounds, and then the cables aren't cheap either, so you're looking at quite a hefty amount to replace that. And some of the things you can't, I think, buy individually when they've come in sets. I think some of the cables are really hard to get individually. But a crochet hook, I'm like, you can get really cheap ones, and I don't crochet that much, so it wouldn't be that big of a deal. And I don't think they'd take a crochet hook off you anyway. So I haven't really been working on that one, but thinking of maybe taking it with me on the plane, but we'll see space-wise. And then, I'm really excited to share this one. I shared the yarn and everything last time. I bought a kit from Hillersvåg. This is the Julskog Genser. So it's a Christmas jumper, which I want to wear at Christmas, but because I'm going to be in Dubai, it's not ideal. Might have to crank up the air conditioning, but that's not good for the environment. We'll see. I might just wear it for like a picture or two and then take it off. But even if I don't get it done in time for Christmas because of other things I need to still work on, though I want this to be pretty much my main project other than the Crescendo Blouse now. It's also just suitable for winter, so once I'm back in Germany, this will be a nice thing to still wear. So I'm not doing it in the red colours that you see there. I'm doing it in green because, of course, I am. I'm using yarn by Hillersvåg because obviously they're going to sell their yarn in a kit. And this is their Soul base, which is 100% Norwegian wool. I think is it a DK weight? It might be a sport weight. To be honest, I can't really remember. Nope, this one. It is 290 meters per 100 grams. So yeah, it's about a sport, I'd say. This is my contrast color, and this is my main color, which is this nice darkish green. And I've done the collar. It's going to be a folded collar. So it's one of those ones where you do a row of purl stitches so it folds over nicely. So I still need to sew it down, but that will be at the end. And I've just started on the color work. So I've just done like a couple of rows of it, nothing major. So you can see from the picture, I've got quite a few of these individual little, like, I think they're called fleas. That's what they typically call them, before I get to the trees. So I've done an increase round already. So starting to make progress on this, but I only started this one evening because I wanted to get a feel for the wool and needle size and things like that, and only just started working on this because I finished the socks. So not much to show yet, but hopefully I will take this to Dubai and work on it there. But it's starting to get quite a few projects, and I'm only there for just over 2 weeks. Am I there for 3 weeks? Might be 3. And I will be working remotely for a couple of the days while I'm over there, just because I have a lot of work to do. I think we're up to the final project. It might just be, I think it is. The only thing I was just going to quickly show before I show the last project is what I was just flicking through is this knitting journal I've shared before from Flying Tiger. I always want to call it Paper Tiger, and I don't know why. And so I can show you, for example, the Sunday socks. I still need to put a picture in because I haven't taken one yet. But I filled that all out, and I've got the different like ball bands with the colours of yarn, so I know what number is what. And I've really been loving this. It's getting quite fat because of how much I already have in there, because I even have like a swatch for the Crescendo Blouse. I might have called it the Cumulus Blouse at one point because I keep getting confused for some reason. But yeah, I've really been enjoying that. It's been really nice to keep track of things and stay motivated as well. And every time there's a new project and I have to go fill that out, I'm like, let's just leave it. let's not start another project yet. But I did start another new project. I haven't shared this at all, and I think it's officially kind of like the only new thing that I haven't talked about before at all. So SKEINDEER normally does a mystery like mitten knit along every Advent, where she releases a clue every Sunday of Advent. But this year, because she just recently finished her PhD, she just didn't have the time, and I think she also said she just didn't really have an idea that she really wanted to do. But she did release as part of her Matchy Matchy Club the ENDELAUS mitts, and I saw them and was like, they're beautiful. I have the whole Matchy Matchy Club because I think it's just beautiful designs. But I saw the mittens and was like, I want to do them now. And I'd ordered some yarn for my mum, which I'm not going to share because while she knows what she's getting, I shouldn't say this because she watches these videos, but I probably won't release this until I've seen her anyway, so it doesn't matter. I've bought some yarn for her that she wanted, but I managed to get colours that we saw were out of stock, but I would from somewhere else. I found everything she wanted, and they were also selling Raumagarn, Finul, and that's what one of the recommended yarns, and I was like, I've wanted to work with Rauma for quite a while. So I was like, oh, well, I'm already ordering, so I'll just add in these two skeins. And I really love this colour so much. And I knew when I saw these two, even just online, they looked exactly the same online. The pictures were really good. I was like, they're not going to have there's not going to be a lot of contrast between them. It's going to mesh and blend together quite a bit, but I like that. For certain things, I like that. So I haven't got much to show because it was just an evening thing where I was like, oh, I just want to really figure out like what are these going to look like. So you can't see anything. You can't see anything. I've done about like 2 or 3 rows of the color work. So we'll see whether I get a chance to work on these anymore. They won't come to Dubai with me as much as I want to work on them. I have other things, and if I actually bring fewer projects, I'll get stuff done, and when I come back, I can work on something else. But I just wanted to show these off because I think it's a gorgeous pattern. I'll obviously include a picture so you can get an idea of what I've been working on. But yeah, really excited about these and really want to work on them. I love colour work, and with the finoeul as well, it's really easy because it's quite a grippy yarn. I have got it in a zipped bag, which is always dangerous, but my mum made this bag, so I really like it. It's been really handy for when I've been working on the Sunday socks. Sometimes I've been walking and knitting, and this bag's really handy for that. So that's all my whips. Yes, it is. Pretty sure. I did wonder, I don't think in my last episode I talked about the fact that I finished the Spice cardigan, did I? I either forgot to talk about it in my German one or my English one. So if it was my English one, I will now show the pictures and everything of it. If it was my German one, well, I've already filmed that, so that's not going to happen. But yeah, I finished that for a friend of mine, and it's been received. I sent it off before I left the UK, and yeah, he took pictures for me because I didn't get a chance to take pictures, and I loved knitting it so much. I love that cardigan. I think I even said to him, I was like, if you don't like it, if it doesn't fit you, please give it back because I want it. But I've got yarn to make myself a Sparky, which is the same kind of family design-wise by ANDREA MOWRY. So I don't need a Spice cardigan, sadly. But yeah, so I just quickly wanted to share pictures of that. Would highly recommend the pattern. I loved it so much and kind of want to make another one, but I need to find someone where I can go, hey friend, do you want a cardigan? Please just let me knit it for you. The other thing, yarn acquisitions. That's what we're up to now. It's not much. There are some extra bits I've bought, but I'm not going to share them now. My throat hurts from all the talking. I need to take a break. But I thought I'd quickly share. I shared the evergreen colour. Yes, it's in here. We've been making the grow socks. So I thought I'd share the next two, because we've already had 2 more Sundays since I last filmed. Of Eula's like Advent set, if you will. So this is the colour Sweater Weather. They're all on her Corriedale sock yarn, sock base, 400 meters per 100 grams. And I was thinking, instead of making socks with this, I was thinking about maybe making some mittens, because apparently you can't have enough mittens. Not held double, because I think it would be really interesting to see how it kind of like stripes. It will be like a micro stripe, I think, looking at this. But we'll see. So there's this one. And then the one today was Persimmon. Oh, I love this one so much. Part of me is all like, I need to have socks in this. But then I also think it would be really cool as like a beanie. I think I'd like that more, actually, and use it, get more use out of it. So more of like a close fitting beanie. But we'll see. And have I made a fingering weight beanie before? I don't know if I have. I think I normally do it like DK weight, sort of. But yeah, so absolutely stunning colours. And I've got one more left, and that will be coming with me to Dubai, because I'm not going to wait until I'm back to open that. And I'm not opening it early. I'm hoping to also take Georgie's advent calendar, because I want to keep kind of just opening it. But if I do not have enough space in my suitcase, I'm just going to take a couple of the mini skeins to work on the poet shawl. And we'll just have to open the rest when I come back. And that's okay. Because in some ways, like, I know kind of where the fade is heading every day. It's still obviously lovely and a surprise to see it, but it's not as much as like, I have no idea what's in that final skein from Woollentwine. So yeah, I need to start probably taking the rest, well, not the rest of today, still plenty of the day left, but take some time today to package up the socks and get that all sorted in the mittens, and then also figure out packing wise what I'm going to bring, and because I've also got some like obviously Christmas presents for my parents and a few other bits that I'm bringing with me from Germany, so just need to plan and think and pack and get ready because it's not much longer until I fly. So just kind of, since I'm already kind of talking about some personal stuff, I'll first quickly talk about the whole thing with flying to Dubai. I know a lot of people, like last year, are not going to be able to be with the family over Christmas. And I don't want to rub it in people's faces or flaunt it that I'm going to be traveling. I had the same issue last year that I didn't really know how to talk about it because it's obviously not an easy decision to make to travel during a pandemic. I've done it a few times now. Obviously with work I've had to do it, moving here. But also kind of, you know, for my own well-being, being able to see my parents at Christmas last year, but then also kind of going to Austria in August and September because I needed a break and a bit of support as I was finishing up my writing of my PhD thesis. So while for me, all of those haven't been, oh, I'm going to go on a holiday and, you know, go sightseeing and all these things. They really have been about being with my family and not really going many places and kind of, you know, just enjoying nature and being outdoors, but not exactly doing very touristy things. And that's kind of the way that I can allow myself to travel during this time, because it's not my usual form of traveling, and it's more of just kind of the equivalent for me of getting on a train or a bus or driving a couple of hours to see my family, which is something obviously once again not everyone can do, but that's something that I know has been a bit more accessible to people when things have been better with the pandemic, and that's something I haven't been able to do. And just seeing my parents for the weekend is ridiculous when they live in Dubai. But, so I kind of just wanted to say, I will be in Dubai. I don't think I'll be filming when I'm over there. Kind of just want to enjoy my time and relax and recharge, because with everything, with writing my thesis, having my PhD defense, moving from the UK to Austria, then moving over here to Germany, organizing everything here, starting my new job, it's been a lot. And, you know, then obviously we're all feeling, from what I've seen, burnt out from the pandemic. So it will be nice just to relax, recharge, eat some good food, relax, go for walks, knit, and yeah, just hopefully be able to recharge a bit so I can really get going in 2022 and work on my postdoc and secure some more funding so I can stay here. But yeah, so that's kind of like the travel life stuff. And regarding everything about moving here, it's all gone pretty well. There's been a lot to do, and while, you know, I speak fluent German, it is hard that there's been a lot of things that just aren't really words and things that I've had to use because I've just learned them in English instead. So it has been hard. That's why I said, you know, like I've been coming home from work and I've just been really tired. Sometimes I've also just been working from home when I've got other appointments and things. And the whole like commuting back and forth is just a bit too tricky. I've worked from home and I like that flexibility. I still kind of finish work and just exhausted. Because it is hard work and it is, you know, doing something new that I haven't really worked on before. It's a new kind of project for me. So, and everything's just new. So I am quite tired and feeling a little burnt out in many different aspects of my life. But I've been loving it here. People are really friendly, the food is amazing, the public transport is amazing, and everything's just, the way that I think and the kind of person that I am just fits in currently quite nicely with how things are done here. And obviously, as I stay here longer, things will start to you know, certain things that you don't notice when you first move somewhere, when you're a tourist, they'll probably start to bother me because I'll become aware of them. No place is perfect, but currently it's just been a really nice thing and has made the transition so much easier. And it's then kind of interesting when normally when people, you know, move to a different country for work or to study or whatever, there is this aspect of being homesick. But for me, it's like, well, which home are we talking about? Because if we're talking about Austria, well, I don't really have to be all that homesick here because I can get most of the things here that I can get in Austria. If we're talking about homesick regarding the UK, well, it's not that far away. I've still got friends there that I'm in contact with. The biggest thing for me is just getting Yorkshire tea, really. And I needed a break from the UK anyway because of how hard things have been over the last few years. And then it's kind of like, well, homesick from New Zealand? Well, I went through that when I was in the UK. So it's just all a bit confusing. I guess the best way to put it is I'm kind of always homesick for a place. But most of the time what really happens is the place that I currently make my home, and it's currently here, well, I can't feel homesick then. I can miss people and I can miss things, but the actual thing of being homesick, well, this is my home. I am at home, so. But yes, so I'm happy and I'm cheerful and I'm enjoying myself, but I am just feeling like I've got a cold. I'm just feeling really run down and tired, but that has nothing to do with, like, I'm loving it here, I really am. It's just, it's a hard time and I'm just tired. But I think that's everything. Don't think I have anything else to share. I don't believe so. I've been trying to read a bit more. When I'm just a bit too tired to do any knitting or something, I've tried to read, and I'm also trying to work on reading on my Kindle while knitting, because I don't always want to watch something. And yes, I think that's everything. I'm going to finish my cup of tea, finish my biscuits, and get some more knitting done, but mainly try and get those 2 packages packaged up. But obviously one pair of socks is still kind of damp, so I can't do those. But I'm going to individually wrap each of the socks, so that's going to take some time. Yes, that's everything. I'm going to stop talking now. I've been talking for a long time. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you next time. Bye.